Anime. It's something very easy to get into because there's a genre out there for everybody. It doesn't matter if it's romance, supernatural, or even action. There is a show out there for everyone. Every once in a while, at least for me, there is an anime that to me hits different on a visual level as well as a spiritual level. And for me, that anime is
もののけが出た。
seeing something like this.
断りが示された。
Very, very different than what I've usually seen. And I feel like with this anime, if it had a game, it would be generational per se. I mean, yeah, that sounds fun and all, but like, what exactly is a mononoke? Is that like a food or like what exactly is that?
Well, I was finna to explain that before you rudely interrupted me.
Now, mononoke are spirits born from the grudges and pent-up emotions of people, regardless of whether they are living or dead. Mononoke tend to haunt areas that hold significance to a person who held the grudge from where they were formed and vary vastly in power, strength, and abilities depending on their emotions. Okay, that's cool and all. Like, there's some weird, messed up ghost with issues, but like, according to the title of the video, you said this anime would be generational. So how exactly could an anime like this be generational exactly? Well, I was going to explain that, but actually, who even are you? How'd you even get into my house? Um, Weirdo. Anyway, he does make a valid point. What will make this anime generational if it was to have its own game? Now, I want to get the ball rolling in terms of the art style. Mononoke's art style is very reminiscent of a ukiyo painting. You don't know what those are essentially Japanese paintings that was around, I want to say, like the 17th to like the 19th century. Maybe you've seen them. I think one of the most popular ones is the one with like the big old wave. I could be wrong, but usually ukiyo paintings tend to have like messages in them. Some some like brutal, some lewd, some, the gist of it. They're basically paintings that was from Japan that relays messages or feelings or just whatever it was. In Mononoke, the whole style just reminisce of one entire ukiyo painting, like I said, in the sense of like usually in like animes and stuff, they tend to use a black outline. That's something that's like comes natural. That's something that's like a lot of artists tend to learn. They have like the black outlines. Not all anime, but most known ones tend to use like a black outline. However, in Mononoke, they don't use a black outline. They use like a very deep, dark blue outline in their entire animation. Seeing that for the first time, genuinely like it didn't throw me off, but it was something different. I'm not saying it's not rare. You don't really see anime using like different color line art for their art style. You'll usually see like the default all black and stuff. So to see a anime have like a different color line art is honestly like very, very unique. And I mean like everything, nearly like everything is has like this like deep dark blue line art ish. It kind of feels like in like the entire show, like the whole like what you call it, the screen has like this like paint ish like feeling of it. I can't remember the specific scene, but it was a scene where like one of the characters was like kind of walking across, and like it kind of felt like there was like a filter over the entire thing. With that filter being there, like it doesn't feel like it throws off like the entire anime. In all honesty, it feels like the filter just kind of like fits in place with it. It's not like it's like removing like the focus of it. It just feels like it's just naturally in place. So with this ukiyo art style, I feel like it's something that's like very unique in this in like the anime gaming space because like a lot of anime games do kinda look a little bland if I keep it a bean, especially from like the triple A games. Obviously, the most notable being Bandai. I'm specifically talking about like triple A games. Obviously, you got the indie games that do be unique, and I got to give credit to those. But like someone like Bandai, they it just feels kind of bland and stuff. So like unless like you really dig deep to find like a unique style, a good few anime games now here and there kind of feel bland. I won't lie. So having a anime with this type of style to me feels like it would just be like a blessing in disguise. The next point I want to transverse into would be the medicine seller. Now, when I was watching it, there's not much information known on the medicine seller. Do keep in mind, I've only seen the Phantom in the Rain and the Ashes of Rage. I have not seen the 2007 version. Well, technically I did, but I dropped it for a reason that I won't say. Is best if you go look at it yourself. I might try to rewatch it, but yeah, that's something different. But anyway, the medicine seller, he's very mysterious because he's like kind of like this wandering ghost slayer, and because like you don't really know much about him at all. Like there's no backstory, there's no like information on him. He's just like a wandering uh ghost slayer, if you want to simplify it. And with his like overall design, with how he looks, he gives me a vibe. If you was to mix like Gojo and Alucard together, if you was to mix them, it's like just one person. That's how I kind of feel about the medicine seller. If you was to mix those two characters together, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, he got a fire design. Generally, I think the medicine seller has a peak, peak design. Genuinely fire. I would say, arguably, maybe like top 10 per se, because it's the face paint. Honestly, I love his little face paint. If I could do cosplay, he would just be someone I want to. I know the ladies would love him. Trust me, the ladies will love him. If they like Gojo, they would definitely love the medicine seller. In regards to the medicine seller, this brings into my meat and potatoes of everything, and that has to be the main overall mechanics of it. Now, in Mononoke, there are three absolute things that are needed in order for the Mononoke to be slain. That is form, reason, and truth. If you do not have these three things, the Mononoke cannot be slain.
Yo, with y'all boys, editor Kayskiiz here with this part of the video. I felt like I didn't really explain it all that well, so I just kind of want to bring some clarification to things. Now, like I said previously, in order to defeat the Mononoke, you need to have three things. You need form, reason, and truth. The form is pretty much which Mononoke you're fighting. It's basically like asking, what is this weapon or what is this creature that I'm going against? Reason is why the Mononoke is attacking. Usually it's things like revenge, anger, injustice, things like that. The truth is kind of hard to explain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference the Ashes of Rage. So this is a spoiler warning. So if you guys don't want to hear spoilers, I'll put a time skip. So in the Ashes of Rage, the Mononoke is constantly screaming unforgivable. And the cast is kind of unsure why it's doing that and why it's hurting itself. At first, you're gonna think like, oh, it's screaming unforgivable at like the men of the estate, or like it's just screaming at it. It's just like anyone. But as you dig deeper into it, you realize that what happened was there's this character named Lady Suzu, and she got pregnant by the master of the Oku. The thing is, though, the master already got another woman pregnant. So what Lady Suzu had to do is that she had to drink poison and abort her own baby, and the poison was given by her father. So her own father gave her poison, which caused her to abort her baby. And because of that, she felt so much guilt that she burnt herself alive, essentially just offing herself. And because of that guilt and that rage, it basically turned her into a Mononoke. So if you kind of want to simplify the truth, that essentially all it is if you strip down multiple, if you just to take multiple stories and you strip down all the excuses, the contradictions, and the lies, then that's essentially the truth. It is the bare bones truth of what happened. It's essentially like how police try to find the truth within a witness or a murder scene. That is pretty much all the truth is.
And with this like formula, it heavily gives me the vibe of a Danganronpa when you're searching for clues, trying to find out, who whacked this person, why they did it, and stuff. And within the show, why the Mononoke is this, like what form does the Mononoke take? Because the Mononoke takes different forms depending on emotions. So it's who is the specific Mononoke, why is it doing this, and what truth do they reveal as to why they do this. It really makes you think. Say for example, you find the reason as to why they do it, and you find the truth as to why the Mononoke is doing it, but you have the wrong Mononoke form, that could lead to catastrophe. Or let's say you have the right form and you find the truth, but you can't find the reason. Or like let's say you find the truth, or not. Let's say you find the form and the reason, but you don't find the truth. This like kind of formula is exactly perfect as to make you really think about it and make you like really really pay attention to the Mononoke. And it actually does kind of teach you things about like Japanese culture in terms of like Mononoke spirits and all of that. That's kind of just how I view it. I do believe there are a lot of games, underrated gems, that do follow Japanese supernatural horror in a sense. And you know what? Maybe I could be wrong in not knowing a lot of the Japanese supernatural scenes. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments below on some underrated Japanese supernatural horror games that maybe I should play in the future. But in the sense of one, to keep things consistent, I do think that this type of genre is not talked about a lot, and I do want to see maybe a little bit more of it. Now, am I a huge fan of like horror and thriller? No, but if it's like something like Mononoke, then I generally think I would be cool with that. Next up, I want to bring in the story. Now, from what I've seen in The Phantom in the Rain and The Ashes of Rage, I feel like each day that takes place in the game should reveal, a chapter one by one. So, for example, chapter one would be Phantom in the Rain, chapter two would be Ashes of Rage, chapter three, which is, I believe, is like a serpent related story. I could be wrong, but I want to say it's like a serpent story. And that could be it. Then let's say chapter four or day four is like even though this isn't a Mononoke, let's just say let's just use Hachisaku Sama. Let's say if Hachisaku Sama was a Mononoke, right? And day four, you have to try to find out about Hachisaku Sama. And I feel like each day should get progressively harder. Like day one with the Phantom in the Rain, it should be have like a level of difficulty in a sense, but have it like to be the easiest. And as days go on and on and on, like clues start get harder to find, or like you have like an easier time of messing up the Mononoke's like form or truth or reason. the Mononoke tends to be more careful as to who they attack in the Oku, because a lot of times the Mononoke tend to attack in the Oku. I'm not sure if it's the same in the 2000 versions. I could be wrong, but that's how I just generally see things. I feel like in the game like this, it should get progressively harder day by day. Um,
But if you think that there's an anime that needs a game adaptation, why don't you go check out this playlist here where I dive deep into some more anime that I personally think needs game adaptations. But yeah, that's it. I'm out. Peace.